In this video, we're going to cover some of the new things that came out as part of Power BI's October 2024 update. So without further ado, let's jump in. So let's start with the enhancement that they made with the Create Page feature, which is a feature that is part of Copilot that automatically creates report and analysis for you based on what you have in your reports. Copilot can now engage with users, most likely with some multiple choice questions that allows you to give some more context to Copilot so that it can generate a report that is a lot more contextual and meaningful to you. Quick measure suggestions with Copilot will now be disabled. So this is the feature that allows you to generate quick measures using suggestions from Copilot. So you'll typically find this on its own tab where you typically would create your quick measures. You'll find that this option will now be disabled for you if you have it enabled, and it will instead be replaced with the typical Copilot pane that you have available now. I don't really use Copilots with Power BI, so you'll have to let me know in the comment section box below how this compares to the previous feature. Visual calculations are now supported in a bunch of other visuals and features that it wasn't available for previously. One of them is the ability to create visual calculations in combo charts. So these are the visuals where you have the combination of the bar chart and line charts. Now you can also create your visual calculations in this visual as well. If you're utilizing field parameters, you can now also use visual calculations in these measures or calculations. Just bear in mind that obviously as you are switching between attributes in columns and categories, the values and how they're grouped might change a little bit. So you just have to make sure that you account for those in your visual calculations. Along with that, a drop-down option is now available on the visual measures button in the ribbon menu, which will allow you to select pre-created templates to get you started with visual calculations. Now this option already exists in the formula bar when you create your visual calculations for the first time, but this drop-down just makes it a little bit easier for you to find it. Data-bound reference layers are now available in Azure Maps, which is a limitation that the Azure Maps have, especially if you want to link your data in your semantic model to the visuals being shown in this visual. Now I've been using the icon map custom visual to get around this limitation, but from what I read, it basically works the same way. The idea is that you drop the ID column in the location field well in the Azure Maps, and Azure Maps will just find the same ID column that exists in your semantic model, and it will create that relationship that way. This is a good addition to Azure Maps, especially for users or developers who don't really have the option to use custom visuals at all. Along with that, there are some other customization options now added into the Azure Maps, so you can now do things like adding gradients or conditionally formatting the legends, and also lets you control how you deal with unmapped shapes. So either you want it cross-highlighted to just set the transparency lower or completely hide it, like how you would normally filter things in Power BI. There are a bunch of customization options to the markers in Power BI this month. I remember that previously when I worked with markers, you could only choose a certain type of marker which will apply to every single point in my line chart, for example. But for this month, it looks like they revamped the number of marker types that you can choose and the type of customizations available to you for these markers. This month, it looks like you have more control over where your markers are applied to, which part of your series or categories specifically, which is a lot more granular than before. You also have some more options in terms of how the markers look like, from different options to different shapes, add borders, even colors, or transparency. I think this level of granular control is good, especially if you're planning to use your dashboards as a storytelling tool. So this will allow you to customize how your markers are showing or highlighting something in your charts without really resorting to creating complex DAX calculations. Now, I haven't fully explored this feature yet, but from what I've seen in the screenshots in the blog posts, what would have been nice is to be able to conditionally format some of these options, like the colors of them or the markers even. This is because Power BI reports typically are fairly dynamic, and the markers that you have put on your dashboards or your charts might not be relevant if if your users have changed the context of it. Maybe it's they've created a filter, or maybe they've highlighted something else. So would have been nice to be able to dynamically control what is being marked dynamically instead of having it available static. There's a new visual available for preview this month called the List Slicer Visual. This is another type of slicer visual, and its main selling point is that it allows you to visualize your options in a more hierarchical menu. Now, showing your slicers in hierarchy is not a new thing, and in fact, it already exists in the original slicer visual available in Power BI. However, having it available in this new type of format means that you have some more options in terms of customizing these drop-down menus. So I'm gonna see if I can cover this in future just to see what kind of options we have available in terms of visualizing this and how it could potentially look like. They're now retiring the Teams Activity Analytics feature that is available in Power BI, which is a feature that automatically generates a Power BI report detailing activity and usage in Teams in Power BI as a Power BI report. I know that this feature exists, but I never really got the chance to use it. So if you are using it, make sure you have transitioned to the Teams Analytics feature in Microsoft Teams and not in Power BI, because that will be discontinued in the near future. Dynamic format strings are now generally available, so it's now out of preview, and it's a feature that I have covered several times in this channel already that allows you to dynamically change how your strings are formatted based on the actual value of your strings. And there are many different reasons why you'd want to do so. Maybe you want to change the decimal places or how your values are aggregated based on what the value is of your data. This will allow you to do so. Info.view DAX functions are now available in Power BI. Now, I've covered info functions not too long ago, and they're basically functions that allow you to query your actual semantic model to get some metadata information like your tables, measures, and columns. However, when I covered the info DAX functions before, one of the limitations that I found is that you couldn't really query it and put it in a table to use in your actual dashboard. So if you want to query your semantic model, for example, you'd have to do it in DAX query view just to see what is in that semantic model, but you're not able to use it as part or as a table in your reports. However, from this update, it looks like these new view DAX functions allow you to do so. It will allow you to put these functions or the results of these functions into a calculated table for you to use in your Power BI reports. This means that you'll be able to create your own data dictionary automatically in your Power BI reports. As long as you're keeping your descriptions and your data models up to date, you should be able to have these automatically. At the moment, there are 4 functions. There's tables, measures, columns, and relationships, which is pretty much exactly what you would need for data dictionary. So if you want to learn more about this, and I'm actually really excited myself, I'll cover this in a video in the future so that you can see how I would implement it step by step. The PBIR extension type is now in public preview. This is basically an open source way to store your report files into a text readable formats like JSON, for example. This option is good because it allows you to modify your report files without needing to open your reports in Power BI Desktop, but it also lets you manage and easily using sort of repositories like GitHub so that you can work as a team on the same report, for example. There were also some new features that makes PBIR a little bit more accessible this month. So before, if you have your PBIR options available in Power BI Desktop, you didn't have the option to publish directly into the Power BI service. Now you can do that. Along with that, you're now also able to upload PBIR files directly into the Power BI service, or download your report files as a PBIR format. There's now a new option to change the way how your filters behave in your reports. You find this option in the page properties section of your report, which basically just changes what is filtered and what isn't filtered. I read a little bit about it in the blog post, and it seems to be very specific. So in most cases, you really wouldn't have to worry about this. However, if you are curious on what this changes and what other options you have and how it will affect your filter behavior, I'll leave a link to the full blog post in the description box below. Thanks for watching. As usual, give this video a like if you found it useful. Give it a dislike if you didn't, so know to do better for next time. Ask your questions in the comment section box below so I can help you and you can help others. If you like this video, we have a Patreon page where you can support the channel and get exclusive perks like early access, demo files, and credits at the end of these videos. Thanks again for watching and see you in the next one.